The European Union has been facing growing dissent from the leaders of Hungary, Poland, Slovakia and the Czech Republic, with Brussels beginning court action against the countries for failing to uphold their duties as EU member states. Mr. Farage predicted the 4 Eastern European countries will ultimately lead the EU institutions to collapse in as little as 10 years. He said, "I heard Andrew Marr a few months ago say that if you listen to the Prime Ministers of Hungary, Poland, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, they make Nigel Farage sound like a Foreign Office diplomat. Something quite big is going on. I would say that in 10 years' time the European Union will not exist and that will be a good thing." GETTYEU News. Nigel Farage claimed the 4 Eastern European countries will lead the EU to collapse. In September 2017, Hungary and Slovakia lost an appeal to the European Court of Justice (ECJ) against the legality of the EU mandatory relocation scheme after arguing that it should have been taken by a unanimous decision of the member state. Hungary and Poland, which have right-wing populist governments, have previously vowed not to comply with any order from the EU to start taking in migrants, saying it transgresses the sovereignty. The pro-Brexit politician said the 4 Eastern EU countries will ultimately rebel and bring down the unelected bully boys in Brussels. Speaking during a charity event, Mr. Farage continued, "I think Viktor Orban is giving the lead, and those countries are proud of the fact they've lived under Nazism, they've lived under communism, they've lived under brutalism, and they lived under repression. I would say that in 10 years' time the European Union will not exist and that will be a good thing." Nigel Farage: "They're not about to be told by the unelected bully boys in Brussels what they can and can't do, and that really is a fact. Ultimately the populist revolution of 2016, as people see it, it's not a short-term blip. We have the Hungarian Prime Minister Orban being absolutely determined he will not accept, or pay the price, for Mrs. Merkel's error of saying anyone that wants to come here we can cope with. He will not pay the price of the Merkel madness." Hungary was referred to the ECJ over a separate crackdown on foreign-funded NGOs and educational establishment, which is a crude attack on billionaire financier George Soros. The EU set up a migrant quota scheme at the height of 2015 with the intention of distributing 160,000 refugees around the bloc to ease the burden on Greece and Italy. But the program has been beset by problems, with some member states rebelling over the fact it was approved by a majority vote. Only 32,000 asylum seekers have been resettled under the scheme.